In the last episode, we had just entered right about 2010. At this time in my life, I'm back living a great life in recovery. Recovery is definitely where I want to be. Enjoying that, have strong support. At this time in my life, 2010, this is, fall of 2010, I'm starting back up at school again. I'm counseling at Cascade Recovery, enjoying that work. Candy and I are living together, but it's our relationship doesn't last too long. I think all in all, we end up being a couple for about a year. Yeah, I think about that. It wasn't like a bad breakup when we did. I just didn't see a permanent future for us together. She's good people. She was good people. She is good people. We had a lot of fun. And she was the first relationship in my life where I felt like I could really just be me. And I'm not, in previous relationships, it wasn't because of the women that I wasn't able to be me. I wasn't able to be me because I internally thought I needed to be some other way to please that person. And Candy was the first person where I felt like I could, just be me, and that was okay. But we ended up splitting up a lot because she was messy. She was... Just her style of living was just, for me, just different, and it didn't work for me. And so that breakup was, it was hard emotionally. I liked her. I cared about her. But we broke up. She would stay with me in the house just for probably a month or two, and then she would end up moving back out to where she had been living prior to us moving in together. And I would stay in my little house in Dogtown and get a roommate, Dave, and that worked out well because financially, I have it journaled that, the financial stress I knew was going to be a lot. And I have it here, September 1 of 2010. My biggest concern at this point is the financial piece of living alone. I'm sure it'll work out fine. Just have to have faith. And it says here, school starts in a few weeks. Back to the grind. One more year and I will have my bachelor's. Oh my gosh. It says, in closing, it says here, focus school. And right now, if you could be in my office with me, I'm looking at the sticky note that I had created and stuck to my laptop that says that, focus school. I made that my priority, and I truly believe that that's why I was able to earn a bachelor's and master's degree during that period of time, is I just was like, I'm doing this. I'm going to put in the work and the attention it needs and earn my degree, and I will do that. I also have it noted here, Tyler and I were, I remember this time period. He had been to treatment, returned to use, doing that thing that we do, trying to maintain as best he could. And, so this is also, at the agency I was working at. It was an outpatient drug and alcohol treatment center. And it was starting to slow. The clients weren't coming in. And it was, cause I have it journaled here. I work there with a friend I've known forever, Ivy. It says work is changing. Ivy is gone. Kibra is gone because of surgery. And I don't know if she came back or not, but it was down to just me, Pam, and Alicia. But I stuck with it there for a while. I have my next journal entry, 2011, friends. Can you believe that? 2011 was 14 years ago. That's crazy. It's been a while. Me and Candy are both single, still friends, but single. I enjoy being single and dating. Now, here's where Stephanie comes back in. I remember this period, just a short little period of time where I opened that door just a little bit again. It says me and Steph started talking and things have progressed. Not sure where the hell it will lead. She is still, oh, that's right. She was navigating her own issues in a relationship. Yeah. Some of my old stuff crops up with her. I do see change, and that's real encouraging. I'm done with my internship at work. So I had put in all the hours, over a year's worth of hours, to become a chemical. At the time, it was called a chemical dependency professional. Now it's a change in the title, substance use disorder professional. But here's a cool thing. I am a grandpa now, and I will graduate school in June. A lot of big stuff coming down. Congrats to me. So I will push on no matter the course with any woman in my life. I'm worth taking care of me. Wow, you guys. This was the first time in my life, in my entire dating marriage history, where I felt okay being single. I felt okay with me. You know, it wasn't perfect, but it was okay. This was the first time in my adult life that this was the case. I was thinking about this when I was going to record this podcast. The term, I learned this actually in school. I learned a thing or two. Serial monogamy. And you might, what is that? Well, most people, a lot of people are what's called serial monogamists. Now, I did do the dating scene for a little while in this time period. It was okay. But really, my desire and my goal and kind of where I like to be is in a committed relationship, right? Like some people just, they don't want that. They date here and there, or they don't date at all. They just don't want any part of that. But for a lot of people, we're serial monogamists. It's our desire when it comes to having someone in our life to be serious about that, to have a committed relationship. And that really has been me for the whole of my life. But again, I was in counseling. I have it in here. It's been suggested, look, trying to journal more lately. It's been suggested. I remember I was going to counseling throughout this time period. Super helpful. Here we go. April 23rd of 2011. So now we're in 2011. I guess we were on March 1st. Sorry. I haven't been journaling much lately. Not even my usual once a month. I think about it a lot, but get busy doing other things. Great. Life overall is really good. I'm now a full-fledged chemical dependency professional. Wow. And yesterday, oh my gosh, I haven't read this in so long. And yesterday I heard that I was selected for an assistantship for my graduate program. Double good news. It is amazing to me what I've been able to accomplish in my life. So now, oh boy, I've been getting angry lately about my mom's over-involvement with Dawn and Mason. She hadn't even met Anthony or wasn't involved in the birth of Anthony at all, yet she has been way involved with Dawn. It just doesn't make sense. More of my core stuff coming up. Ugh. Then, I love Chiba. See, she is such an amazing dog. She has come a long way in her behavior out in the world. Just am so happy she is in my life. Love, love, love her. Dating wise, oh, okay. Gina comes back into the picture for a short period. Here she is. Well, dating Gina. She came back into my life a couple months back. She has a desire to get sober and clean her life up. I have always thought of her ever since we split a while back. She's an amazing girl. Been talking to different women. Stephanie, Shannon, Katrina. Hey, oh, there it is. April of 2011, Katrina and I, this is when we started toying with a change in our friendship to a dating relationship. Okay, but really, at this time in my life, I said I would like to be with either Gina or Stephanie. I don't know. I just try to roll with what's ever coming my way. I was just doing my thing. I wasn't like Stephanie having really that power over me that I gave her that power. Wasn't as strong. I was just whatever was gonna. I was focused on school. I was gonna start a master's program. I would transition from being a counselor at that agency and getting a teaching assistantship, which would turn into now what has been my career forever. And so May 16th, 2011, trying to journal more lately seems helpful. Here we go. Gina was short-lived, trying to move forward. Will be another year of change for me. Graduate June 11th, start a master's program the same month. Will be leaving my job before fall quarter starts so I can start an assistantship. Who would have thunk? A kid from the streets of Tacoma. GED to Dr. D is what I've done. But right here, this is in the middle of that process. I was starting a graduate program and I was going to get a teach. So here's some feelings I talk about. Feelings lately, feeling of loneliness, betrayal, excitement, happiness, then sadness. I desire a healthy relationship in my life. That's that serial monogamist in me. I want to be in a healthy relationship. Wonder why I go back to old relationships that didn't work before, thinking they will work this time. A need to fix my past still. This is what I'm writing. Not sure. I'm able to walk away from a relationship today without my life falling apart. That's the powerful, powerful part. That is good. I have my own life today that is full. Whereas before, I was so wrapped up in the relationship that I had nothing without it. Progress is good. I was making significant progress at this time period in my life with being okay with David, being okay not being in a relationship, and recognizing that looking backwards wasn't going to help me. It wasn't going to get me to where I want to go. So I was in counseling this period of time, a lot of good stuff going on. I can just glance through these in May. Here we go. So fall of 2011, started a master's program in June. So I didn't journal for a while. I was busy. I remember going into a master's program was a whole different world. And teaching, I was in a graduate program at Central, and I was teaching classes. So from May 23rd, and then my next journal entry is October 4th. Barely made it through the first quarter, but I did, and fall is here. And here we go, friends. This is great. Now have started another quarter and work in my assistantship. Yeah, this is beautiful. Me and Katrina started dating at the end of May. It has been better than I ever expected. She is amazing, and I love being with her. I get chills, and my heart's just happy reading this. And she didn't know this at this time when I made this journal entry. I'm going to ask her to marry me on Christmas Day. I'm excited for our future together. Anthony is growing like crazy. He just started walking yesterday. Wow, that's what I wrote. That's great. So I actually end up asking her to marry me on Christmas Eve of that year. Her and I started dating on May 26th of 2011, and I held off on that. Her and I kind of toyed with dating. I knew she liked me. I liked her, but I also knew that if I committed, I was going to go all in, and there wasn't going to be any turning back. Not that I would want to turn. I knew what was coming. She says to this day that long before this, she knew someday we would be married. That woman's intuition thing. It's weird. I'm like, I don't know. How did you know that? But because we were just friends. Katrina was a significant part of my life in the recovery community and life in general. We would talk to each other about our individual life successes and struggles. And we seriously didn't even consider dating as an option until 2011. 2010, 2011. So there it is in October where I write that I'm going to ask her to marry me. So let's keep reading this journal entry in October of 2011. I still have this cycle of self-sabotage going on in my life. Not near as bad as it used to be, but still there. And it interferes with my life. I wake on some mornings and make the decision to not get up. Under the guise of being in pain, it rolls from there, usually lasts a day or two, and then I click out of it. I still, at this point in my life, was struggling with that depression. Waking up in the morning, getting out of bed was hard, and then that would just snowball. I'm worried about finances right now, have been overspending, and it's catching up with me. I'm worried about next summer when I'm done with school. Going to continue forward and keep working on trying to do what I need to do. I left Cascade on June 1st, the agency I was working for. Pam closed up shop at the end of July. It just seemed like the universe was providing me the next indicated thing. It says, I'm thankful for the experience and her helping me to get certified in my job. I'm going to sneeze. I'm not even going to edit that out. Hopefully you took a drink of your coffee or whatever you're drinking while you're listening to this. Last part of that journal entry from October is me and Tyler are talking and seem to be getting along. He's been living at his mom's and is back with Chantel now. I really hope the best for him. I love him. Next journal entry. This is working out well with this online journal to just keep progressing through the story of my life. So the next journal entry is March of 2012. So it looks like about 6 months I did not do any journaling. If I were to sum it up, me and Katrina were dating seriously and just clicking right along. We would move in together, and right after this March, in fact, I'll just start reading it. But we would move in together that next spring. I would graduate with my master's degree that next summer. So here's March 9th, 2012. Let's see what happens here. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is perfect. It's no surprise to me at all why the housing market caused the financial crash. We are in the thick of the house buying process, and it is the most convoluted, layered, confusing, and frustrating process I've ever seen. I have seen and been through a lot of things, been in the military, worked at government agencies, had my own business, and am a college graduate and current grad student. And the house buying process is ridiculous. Way too many people have their hands in the kitty, so to speak. And then when something goes wrong, they start pointing fingers. This after I make waves and want to know what's going on. Otherwise, they just remain silent and chalk it up as just a normal delay, no biggie. Wow, craziness, pure craziness. That's funny. We would move in together. She would move because we had a delay in our closing, a month-long delay. I think it was a solid month delay. She had to move out of the apartment she was living in and move in with me in my little house, at my little house in Dogtown, Canine Heights, for about a month. Yeah, because she had already, gave notice at her place. They had already re-rented it. So fortunately, my landlord was willing to work with me, let me live there another month. But then we would move into our house together April of 2012. And then planning a wedding. We were planning a wedding. We set a date pretty quickly after our engagement. We bought the house. Katrina was working for the city. I was in grad school and doing my student teaching. I would graduate, and I fell in love with teaching. I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I was networking and trying to find a way for myself to get on full-time on campus. That would take not too long. In fact, I graduated with my degree. I walked in June, but I finished at the end of that summer of 2012. And I would start immediately teaching part-time, and then found a full-time, applied, and actually got a no. Here you go. I say I've gotten more no's than I've gotten yeses along the way. I found a department that was really attractive to me, and it's called IT management. It's where I teach now. Because I have IT experience and I have a lot of business management, writing, communication experience. And I'm like, oh man, there's a full-time position. There were actually 2 full-time positions open. And so I applied for one of them in that fall. And I remember waiting, and I would check in the office, and finally the chair at the time called me and said, well, we made a decision. This is your moment, friends, to just find those opportunities and capitalize on them. And she said, and so what do you think do you think I got the job? No. She said, well, we did not select you for either one of the full-time position. My heart dropped. Like, I needed a job, right? Like, I'm getting married and I want to, do all the right things and contribute. And Katrina was supporting me a lot at that time financially. And I needed full-time work. And the chair at the time said, well, what we'd like to do, though, is offer you one class, business writing and communication. And I was like, I'll take it. I'm like, just give me a chance. That's all I needed was a chance. And I think I ended up full-time that quarter, and I was quarter to quarter that year. And then I went full-time, and I've been full-time ever since. But going back to this time period, it was an exciting time period. Katrina and I just never, it's that funny thing. I never imagined her and I as a couple. We were friends. That's just what we were. And then when that door just started opening, I remember thinking, Katrina, no. And part of my hesitance, couple things. One is we were friends and I was worried about, that friendship changing. And the other is we have an age gap. Her and I have a 14-year age difference. I'm the old man in the relationship. And I was like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And I'll never forget when she says, well, with her big smile and how my wife does. And she was just my girlfriend at the time. And she says, my mom and dad have an age gap. They're 12 years apart. I'm like, oh, interesting. It's funny because it's never been a thing for us. It's never been an issue. It's never caused problems or anything like that. So yeah, this is where my life is. I want to look in my hand journal to see what I have. Oh, here we go. So there's a while between my online journal, a long while from that March 2012 journal. But in my handwriting, the journal where I handwrite in, November 7th of 2013. So by this time, Katrina and I are married. We would get married on September 29th of 2012 and a great wedding. We started doing road trips together. That's one of our favorite things to do is just spending time together on a drive or on a road trip, or like this week we leave for sunny Arizona for our spring. We love traveling together. So we were doing that. I'm hoping I have it journaled in here somewhere, where Anthony stays with us, because there's a period of time where Chantel and Tyler, they were trying to kind of navigate their relationship. It was off and on. They were both in active use. And I don't know how it came to be, but something had to happen. I think it was 2013, 14. He was just a toddler, where I proposed, we'll take Anthony. We'll do it. But I set a pretty firm boundary with it, in that I said, we're going to take legal custody of him, and it's going to be for 6 months. We're not going to be permanent grandparents to our grandson. And we said to them, in fact, I'm going to search for the letter. We said to them that whatever is going on at the end of 6 months, Anthony's going somewhere. Yeah, this might be like, oh my gosh. And he will either go back to one of you, hopefully, you're going to have 6 months to go to treatment, get a job, get a stable place to live, turn your life around, or he'll go somewhere else. And, he sounds really like, what? No way. How could you do that? But here's what ended up happening. So we took legal custody of him. They agreed to it. Tyler was a little hesitant. I think they were both a little hesitant, but it's what we did. And they agreed to it, signed off on it. And so we became parents to Anthony for a 6 month period of time. And that's, oh man, that's when I knew me and Katrina were going to be good together for the duration. Because we think a lot alike in a lot of ways. Like, she's very much her own person and does her own thing. She's got her own life. Same with me. But when it comes to the big things, finances, parenting, our sex life, those things, we are in sync. And I'd never had that before. And I knew when we took custody of Anthony that our parenting style, I think I said in my last podcast, it would be early, I think in 2014, right around this time, I would have a reversal done because I had gotten a vasectomy because I didn't plan on having kids, but I would have a child with Katrina any day of the week. So I did the reversal, and it hasn't happened. Maybe I've always said it's going to happen when I turn 60. She's going to say I'm pregnant. She's going to have a later in life pregnancy. Alas, having Anthony with us, we were good. We parent well together. We grandparent very well together. I have the letter, I think Chantel's and Tyler's were pretty close to the same thing. I'm just reading, these were some of the things that we said. I'm writing this letter. So this is January of 2014. First, it says, you are allowed to see and communicate with Anthony now. Phone calls are encouraged, and you can always try mine or Katrina's number. Gave him my numbers. We will always do our best to put you on the phone with him right away if it is feasible in that moment. If it is not, we'll set a time. Visitation will only be at our house with either Katrina or me present. You are required to get yourself. So we set some pretty firm boundaries around what would need to take place for them to get him back, for them to see him. What was like, yeah, we want you to see him, communicate with him. They couldn't come to our house if they were high or drunk, right? Like normal situations. Overnights were definitely on the table, but they would have to prove that they've been off all drugs, 30 days. This is just what we created. And I did this, we made this decision because they were on a track with their use and behavior that Anthony was going to end up in the legal system at some point. And I wanted to do anything I could to try to prevent that from happening. And the great news about this is Anthony would initially, he would go back to his mom at 5 months. Chantel turned it all around. Took Tyler a little while longer, but he would also turn his life around. And I'm certain that process was part of that happening for him. So that happened in that time period, 2013, 14. We'd have Anthony for a little while. Katrina was doing great work for the city, and I was working on campus. So I was now a college professor and was really enjoying the work that I was doing. Something else that happened, me and Katrina are both people in long-term recovery. And it's interesting because this wasn't either, like, we didn't sit down one day and say, as a couple, we didn't sit down and go, oh, I want to stop going to 12-step meetings. We're never going to go again. That's not how that happened. But individually, we both just kind of, I don't know if I use the term grew out of 12-step, kind of, because I was, as I've told you, I was highly involved. I did service work. I was the chair of the local district. I chaired meetings. I've done all that. Had the sponsor. I've sponsored people. Katrina, same thing. And we both just kind of transitioned away from that life as far as support for our recovery. Katrina had her... she still to this day goes to church, and certainly we both still to this day have people that are friends in recovery. But it was also during this period, 2014, 15-ish, that I know for myself and Katrina, it happened for her, that we just stopped going to meetings. And there can be, views on that, like, I remember I used to think it myself, if you stop going to meetings, you're in relapse mode, or you're a dry drunk, or oh God, you're going to get loaded. It's just a matter. It's like, no. Katrina has she'll have 26 years in recovery this year. I'll celebrate 18 years at the end of this month on the 25th. We both very much value our life in recovery. And we both individually do things that supports our life in recovery in our own way. And that it was during this time period that transition happened. And I remember, I really appreciate the friendships that I still have today with people in recovery. And I should say this, I go to a meeting here and there, random, I'll go to NA, or maybe I would go to AA if someone needed me to go with them. But it's not like I go every day, or I have a home group, or I have a sponsor. I just don't do that anymore. Katrina, I don't think she hasn't been to a meeting, maybe a birthday meeting a couple of years ago or something. But there's a lot of views on that from within the recovery community. Yeah, and we both walked through the negative aspects of that. Like people looking at you thinking, "Oh, are you getting high, or are you drinking?" It's like, no, we're just living our life. Katrina has her church, she has her friend group, she goes to yoga, she's a jazzercise instructor. She has a spiritual, she does all great things. I have my circle of influence, I call it, my male friends that I talk to regularly. My son and I have a strong relationship. We talk to each other regularly. I go to a counselor. I haven't had to go recently, but I go when I need to go. I'm real about things. I'm neither a dry drunk or in relapse mode. And I think that's an unfortunate thing that happens for people who choose to transition to a different period of their life in recovery. But I note that because this is the time period where that happened. And again, it wasn't, like I said, we didn't sit down one day and go, yeah, we're never going to. No, it just kind of happened. We both individually have our own lives and things we do to just live our life. So that was happening during this time period. And as you can hear through the lightness of my voice, that life was really turning a corner for me. I had really done some good work on myself through the help of counselors and talking to friends and learning and reading, and had really kind of come into my own of being just David, who I am. Our marriage is strong to this day. Katrina and I, she's it. I say she's it. She's the one. She's my girl. I am truly the luckiest man alive, and I love being with her. And that's going to be a wrap for this one. Love to all.